on target.
Almost there.
Stay on target.
Almost there.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Yakima on Target. I'm Sean Davido, your host, and I'm here with Andy Kupser, the director of the Center of Excellence UAV program in Sunnyside, Washington. But before we talk about your program, I want to talk about what is a Center of Excellence? What is the program? What is that?
Yeah. The Center of Excellence was started about 17 years ago, an outshoot of the Washington State Legislature, where they formed and ultimately came to be 11 centers, and they're aligned by industry. Mm-hmm. That industry may be clean energy, it may be maritime, could be your construction trades, it could be agriculture. I just happen to be the 11th center, and it's for all things autonomous unmanned systems, which includes the things that we all think about, the flying vehicles.
Right, drones.
Drones. Yeah. And as well as the ground and marine-based vehicles, whether they're shipping.
Robotic, submarine type things? And
Yeah, that's where most people are. If you watch TV, you've seen them for years using unmanned vehicles under the water to search for things. That's one. And of course, that brings in the energy industry, inspecting pipelines underwater, inspecting their infrastructure, which would be their platform that they operate on. Part of that's above and below water. Right. And of course, the ground-based vehicles, and we all know those in terms of companies like Otto, which is the Uber commercial truck division, that they're trying to get trucks to platoon together where you have one driver and 3 trucks.
And it just kind of follows along autonomously, obviously.
It's called a follow me mode or a platooning mode. Huh. And as a matter of fact, Budweiser has shipped their first cargo from Colorado down to Colorado Springs autonomously. So there's a lot going on there.
Interesting industry. So what are some of the projects you're working on? I know we have talked before, you've talked to some industries about coming to the area actually already, correct?
Yeah. Actually, what we first do is we look for industry in the area.
Right.
And we look for what types of skills they're going to need.
Right.
And when we discover a skill that needs to be filled, we try to align a community college with a curriculum that will teach towards that skill and that need. Ultimately, we want to keep the business in the local area and attract other businesses from outside if we can. And I say if we can because if you think of PACCAR is currently doing their test vehicle in the Mount Vernon area.
Right.
But for them to pick up their facility and move to another location may not be totally reasonable.
Right.
But they may have components that can be manufactured locally and then just shipped back to the Seattle side for assembly.
Right. Now this is a consortium of community colleges. That's how the program is based, right?
Yeah. There are 34 community colleges in Washington State.
Right.
Not all of them have a center of excellence in them, but the ones that do, they have one of the 11 centers in them, and they work the same way I do. Go out, seek industry, seek the skills, and train to them.
And you're located in Sunnyside at the YV Tech campus down there.
That's correct. We're in Sunnyside, YV Tech campus. They've been gracious enough to allow us to use their facility to go out and coordinate with industry and the other colleges in the area.
And there's an interesting component to your program, the Anderson Ranch, that I know very little about. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, the Anderson Ranch has been a pretty good success because our advisory board, which is composed of industry employers, had been able to make the connection, and the rancher that owns Anderson Ranch has allowed improvements to be done there, pretty much with the understanding that should we abandon the site, it's returned back to its natural state. And right now, as I understand it, there's a 150 by 30 foot runway out there for autonomous vehicles. One of our industry partners wants to use rocket propelled, and taking that from a grassland structure into the sky is not a real good idea.
It's not a good idea. And it's a pretty large area. It's 40,000
My understanding is that it's a total of 40,000 acres, which will give anybody plenty of time to fly over if they're trying to validate their particular sensor or controller or data link.
So this isn't our little tiny toy drones that we're talking about. These are unmanned aerial systems that are used for what kind of industry?
It's actually an excellent question, because a lot of people think about the radio-controlled type of drones, the RC model type thing.
Yeah, camera drones. We've got the model
drones.
drones.
Yeah, the model drones are what are called Part 336. They have no or little FAA regulation over them. We're talking about the drones where somebody could derive income from them, and that automatically falls into the commercial autonomous unmanned pilot.
Right.
So you do have to pass an exam. There are some industry checks, some government checks there that you're proficient in some areas.
Right.
Map reading, knowing where your boundaries are, knowing, kind of like your driver's
license. A little
license.
bit of aerospace. I actually took the test, a little bit of weather and stuff like that.
A little bit of weather and how it affects lift and those types of things.
You got to study a little bit, and so it's not an easy test by any means. And for the industry around here, it could translate to agriculture very easily. Some of these units, and some of the land-based units too, also could be used.
Well, and obviously, when you start talking about using these tools in business, you need to look at it in a couple different perspectives. One is that it has to be economical for the agricultural endeavor. In other words, the cost scale for a vineyard may be different than that of what's called a dryland farmer or a wheat farmer or somebody who doesn't irrigate a crop.
Right.
Your fruit crop is much more valuable than let's say your wheat crop.
Right.
So it may be able to use different platforms to get different things. Treasury Wine out of Australia did a research on their own facilities with aerial drones.
Right.
And they map the ground, they RFID code each vine, and then they know which one's growing well, which one's not growing well, which got the right amount of water, which didn't. So it's called precision farming or precision agriculture. And it's really the way that we're going to be able to feed the world in 2050.
Exactly. And on those lines, so your program will consist of not necessarily teaching pilots to fly these drones, but also people how to work on them and repair them and manufacture them, right?
Yeah. Well, hopefully
depending.
we attract the manufacturers, and that could be, a lot of people don't realize FLIR Industries out of Portland makes a lot of thermal imaging cameras. Yeah. That's one of the things that a drone platform can use. Yeah. So we hope to attract industries like that may make components for them, particularly when we start talking about the robotics and potential to pick fruits and not bruise those fruits. Yeah. If a organization was to use a combination of a robotic picker and an optical and IR camera, they may avoid picking some fruit just to save time, because it's
sorting
not
in the field.
There you go. Before you pick it.
Yeah.
Why pick something you're going to throw away later?
Yeah. Let's talk about, how does this help Yakima? How does your program and programs like yours help our community, help the city of Yakima?
Well, it's actually, we're looking to help the state of Washington.
Right.
And because I'm located in the Yakima Valley and this area, we're centering on the agricultural aspects of it and how to get that out quickest to the farmers that can, or the agricultural growers that could benefit the most. So what we hope to do is a good business plan, which is reduce your cost and increase your profit margin.
And create jobs.
Create jobs through the manufacturing part. And hopefully there will be other jobs that are created with those drones. As an example, data processing from the information that you get from a drone is actually the most profitable part of the entire thing.
So it's not necessarily the people that are driving rivets in, it's the people that are processing the information.
Correct, because that becomes a long-term job employment from processing and analyzing the data over years and making small changes for the owners that results in a higher profit margin for them.
We need the riveters, we need the software manufacturers, we need the whole process.
So. And that's one of the things a lot of people don't realize, is that those drones may be mechanical, but they do use a lot of software. Yeah. And everything from what comes out in an Excel spreadsheet format to being able to read GPS and reconciling where you're at in the world.
Right, right. Well, we've covered a lot of ground. I'm sure we're over our time a little bit, but it's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you
It's
very
been
much.
a pleasure being here.
Yes, yes. And we'll have you back. We'll check out your program as it continues on. So.
Be glad to come back.
All right. And thank you very much for joining us. For information about the Center of Excellence for Autonomous Unmanned Systems, contact Andy Kupser by email at akupser@everettcc.edu. Also find them on Facebook or visit the website at www.coeuas.com.
Stay on target.
Almost there.
Stay on target.
Almost there.
For more information on Yakima on Target, call 575-6092.